Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for dialing into Facebook Live. Hey, life coaches, it's great to see you. So, we're going to talk about the importance of the coach being in charge. I've got my friend, my colleague, Raul Rivera. Raul, please say hello.
Hey, hello, Seal, and hello, everybody. And always really, really happy to be here. I think it's going to be a great call this morning.
Yeah, I missed you last week. So, it's good
Oh,
to be
thank you.
doing this call. It's good to be doing this call with you. So, yeah, the importance of the coach being the one that's in charge and you really understanding what does that mean. And so when you're in charge, a lot of times, um, and sometimes you'll get really tried and tested, if you will, in these areas. Sometimes the client, and this can happen in everyday conversations, or the person you're talking to may try to veer off and go in another direction. And sometimes the client may want you to change the direction you're going, and you're not able to stay consistent and be really persistent on what you're attempting to help this client or this person achieve. And you've got a great example. We call it VD, the acronym, veering disease. So why don't you tell them what on earth is veering disease?
Yeah, I mean, it's basically changing the direction, right? Like if you're and this is, I mean, this is very important for any coach to really understand, because it really takes a lot of great coaching, a lot of concentration, a lot of presence, right, to
Mm,
coach your clients to that moment in which they're starting to have success.
yeah.
They're starting to have results. And it's really, I mean, it breaks my heart when that veering disease happened. And funny enough,
Mhm.
it usually happens right in that moment when they're just getting the result that they
So
wanted. They're
true.
just starting to get the, and then they veer and do something else. And so what, when you were saying that, what we were talking before this call, and yeah, I mean, I remember one time, a couple of years ago that I was coaching, it was a client, but it was,
Yeah.
a friend too.
Hmm.
um, and he wanted so desperately to get his income to $10,000. That was really like consistently, right? And oh, and by the way, we're not talking about the US. I mean, we're talking about, is a Latin American country. I'm not going to say the country, but he wanted to get 10,000, and we got there. We got there. But then next step was just to really stay consistent with it. I'm not going to make a long story, but he got the result. He got there, right? But then he veered and took vacation, you know. So long story short, he didn't recover, from that. So that's a good
Yeah.
lesson for me as a coach, how you really have to stay on it and just be aware and really handle it, because people might, obviously they're happy, but it's a good possibility, especially when they're just starting to have results and starting to get successful. That's when that disease just turns on. They veer, and sometimes they don't recover.
Yeah, you're much better at handling that than I am. I can go ballistic on that stuff. Just because it breaks my heart. So,
Yeah.
but anyway, we have a process for that. We smell it coming, don't we? A
Oh yeah.
mile away.
Oh
No,
yeah.
we're so used to those indicators, so we know exactly what to do. So, if you want the worksheet that we've created for you guys this week, just the PDF, just type in the word control in the comment section. And by the way, if you would kindly, if you're watching this live, type in live. And if you're watching it as a replay, type in replay. We love it. Thank you so much. So, when you're talking to people, when you're coaching or when you're doing a formal session, whatever kind of session you're doing or conversation that you're having, if the session's not going right, and if the person's not having a good session or a good coaching session with you, if you're not in charge, that's going to produce a really ineffective session. And really, if you're not able to stay on and guide that person on where you know that person needs to go so they can take the next step and accomplish that goal, you know, you don't just end up being frustrated. You're not the one that ends up with knowing it was ineffective. The client knows it too, right? And so, another thing that I see a lot of times is sometimes we go into agreement with what the person is doing or what they can't do or what they think they can't do. We kind of go into it's just a form of tacit sabotage. And sometimes just being quiet, not speaking up and saying something and addressing something can be a form of tacit sabotage. Why? Because the person stays in that condition and they can't move forward. So those are some of the frustrations that I see, because basically those are small things, but they're really not, because you're really not in control if you don't handle that ineffectiveness and if you don't handle any forms of tacit sabotage going on in the conversation or going in your session. And then it puts you out of control, which you know what happens when you don't have control or you lose control, you're not going to be effective. So with that, they usually hire you so that you will be consistent with them and use a form of tough love. I don't mean abusive, but a form of tough love, not buying into any kind of tacit sabotage that they got going on. Help them do it better. And then, but you maintaining that control and owning what you know so you can do the best job possible for them. So Raul, what are the three main points out of today's? What would you say the three main points are for today?
Yeah, so I'll share with everybody. Just before I forget, as always, we created a worksheet. So if you want to get the worksheet today, just with the main points that we're going to be sharing with you, just type the word. What's the word for today, Seal? For them to get the worksheet.
This is a triggering word. It can be control.
Oh.
Yeah.
Love it. Love it. So 3 points. So thank you, Seal. So the first one, it's really, so you're the coach, right?
Yeah.
So you are the professional. It's like if you're the pilot of a plane, then you fly the plane, right? I mean, you have your clients, but you're not going to get, the clients to fly the plane. You're the professional, so you fly the plane. So you are in control. So what that means, so let me give you a couple of examples. So being in control in a coaching session, first of all, it's to always coach the client towards their dreams and aspirations. And just when you were describing about sometimes we go into sabotage, right? Sometimes the client will go on and on and on and on the things that they don't like, the things they hate, the things they don't have, how miserable they're feeling. Of course, we're gonna deal with that, and we're going to help them deal with whatever moods, emotions are in there, with a lot of empathy. But you don't stay there. Then you actually put the positive, meaning you direct them back to their dreams and aspirations. Because sometimes they're just so charged in that area and they're just staying in the negative. So if you let someone just to stay and dive forever into the negative, that's lack of control. In the coaching session, right? So that's an example. Being in control in a coaching session, it's also just like communication, right? Like if the client is just talking without any point, any sense, then you need to take control back, right? Or if the client is not even talking, right? And you're the one doing all the talking, well, that's also bad control. So that's like a couple of examples, but really coaching someone, you are in control, for the best interest of your client, So I don't know, anything else, Sylvia, you like to add on that one? Being in control?
No, I think you said enough. That's a hot topic.
And then, as
Um,
you said, right? Like we don't want to be like abusive, right? I mean, what would you say?
no,
What else would be needed? Like the
well,
second
there's,
point in this.
yeah, there's good control too. You know, good control is, I mean, that falls in line with being consistent, being disciplined. Um, but another point that really needs to be honed in on here is, you know, each step that your client makes, no matter how small, needs to be validated, because in that client's world, that client may not have taken a step toward what they want or toward fixing this area and making it better and getting it to the optimum in their whole entire life. So every step really needs to be validated and supportive, because each win builds on another win and another win and another win. You know, the great pyramids, they weren't built in a day. They were built with different stones, you know. I mean, it didn't just start overnight. It was years. So it's really important to be supportive and to really validate all the progress that the person makes. And there's one other point here, and this has to do with empathy.
Mm,
A great coach can put themselves in their client's point of view. If you can be the client, that's what heals. That's what
mhm.
helps
Yeah.
conditions get better. And again, what we're sharing with you, this is not just for paid coaching sessions or great
Mm,
coaching sessions.
yeah.
This is for conversations and everything you do in life. Be the person, because that's what helps make them better. That's what helps them be able to reach for the stars, to shoot for the moon, is because they were duplicated,
Yeah.
and they'll feel alive and they'll know that you get them. So that's really a key there to making a great coach. I mean, that's a major piece.
Oh, it is. I mean, it is powerful. I mean, it is so powerful. So thanks so much, Seal, for sharing that. And then, the last thing that I would share with everybody here with uh, connected to coaching, this one has to do with training yourself to really train yourself to deal with facts. Always
Mm,
facts. There's no opinions in coaching, especially if we
yeah,
don't want to get into that tacit sabotage. Then you
yeah,
don't you don't go into your opinions about the situation or your client, right? It's always dealing with facts. And actually, a good exercise, let me just share with everybody, like
oh
this is
please,
so simple, but it's
yes.
something like every coach should drill on themselves, just to train themselves to really operate from facts and not opinions. Like, like whatever I want to inspect, right? It could be a person, it could be a thing, it could be a situation. Let's do an easy one just to make it easy. A thing, right? So right here, this is a cell phone, right?
Mhm.
So if I say, okay, so Raul, tell me a fact about this cell phone. Okay, so a fact about this cell phone is black, right? I mean, that's a fact. Now, Raul, tell me an opinion about this cell phone. Oh my God, this is the best cell phone ever. I mean, it could be, who knows, right? But that's an opinion. So it's just like so simple drill, but tell me a fact. And again, it could be a person, it could be a thing, it could be a situation, but what's a fact? You know, something that is, I mean, you can verify, in present time. This is a black cell phone. Now, is this the best cell phone in the world? Well, that's an opinion. Who knows, right? So just drilling yourself in that matter, it helps you. Like just stay like uh be objective, So I think that that's very important as well when you're coaching yourself or coaching anyone else.
Thank you. You know, that's my opinion, and I just will say it's a fact too. I love that example because I love Apple, but we've got friends that don't use Apple, and I'm like, what?
Right.
So anyway, I think there's a few opinions on that. So okay, so Facebook Live people, I wrote a short story on really being effective and how to use tough love. And so I'm not going to go over all the details, but I would encourage you to read it. It's some great stuff in that short story, but I'll give you the recap of it. So basically, if you want to maintain your position of being in charge, that kind of goes along with being effective, okay? And I would encourage you guys to write this down. This little piece right here is so valuable. I can't even put a monetary value to it. So if your vision of what you want does not match your result that you're getting in life, for your clients, for yourself, for your family, your friends, significant others, business, whatever, if your vision or want doesn't match your result, you need to use some tough love on yourself. And what I mean by that is you want to not make any excuses, any justifications, any rationalizations on why you didn't get the result you wanted, why it didn't match that result. So for instance, if someone wants to make, let's use a $10,000, the $10,000 guy. So let's say his goal is to make $10,000. He makes $9,999.99. It's only a friggin' penny away, right? I mean, you could find a penny on the sidewalk out there. So no big deal, right? But let me tell you something. It doesn't matter if it's a penny or $1,000. If you want your visions to match your results and get exactly what you want, the person that's one penny away from that, they didn't make it. You need to go back through and look at all the steps you took. Don't rationalize, make an excuse on why you didn't make it. Well, the weather was bad. You had tornadoes 5 times in Texas. We lost the light, whatever the excuses are. Because if you want to break the pattern and be really in charge and manifest what you want in your visions, you got to inspect and see, what could I have done differently? Spot it, get unreasonable with your reasonableness. And that is the way to really get what you want and help your clients get what they want. You cannot go into agreement. You cannot be reasonable with their excuses. Do it lovingly. You don't have to scream and be abusive. Be firm, consistent, and acknowledge your wins. And you'll be in charge, man. That's it.